happen, and are we going to have to pull this off? But of course, obviously, yes, we wanted them to win, and we wanted to be, executing all of the plans that we had in place. But it was nerve-wracking. It was nerve-wracking. It was depressing, and then amazing, and then terrifying, and so it was a good deal.
That whole playoff run was,
oh man,
just crazy.
Yeah.
So, how early do you guys start kind of planning? And because obviously, it doesn't go off. You can't start a week before, like, oh, we're in the Super Bowl, we better get this planned. But so, how early do you guys kind of start talking about it? And
we talked about it last season, the season before. Mm-hmm. During that playoff run, and as we were, we knew we had a great team, right? And so there was no reason to not start thinking about it, particularly given the fact that we had planned a World Series parade for 4 years at that time, I guess, prior. We knew we needed to really look at how we executed that, and then what changes needed to be made. We were going to have to come up with a different route, and that was honestly a mandate from Homeland Security. You have to think about numbers. You have to think, I think the presumption was that you'd be talking about a lot more people attending a Super Bowl parade than a World Series parade. Now, weather and things like that obviously always factored in. So we were having conversations well before the season even started at a high level. The Chiefs refused to really engage with us because they are very superstitious, right? We could not use the word Super Bowl in planning. They really didn't want to hear anything about it. So we were just kind of working with the city and, our partners on the police and fire and so on. It's all the safety entities that we needed to engage. But then this season, I would say pretty early. Like, we were talking early. Mm-hmm. Because there's no harm in having a plan in place. Yes, like, it was a little superstitious, and every weekend when we kept winning, you felt okay about it, but we planned early. And
yeah, nice. Well, we had talked about when you're selling stuff like having the draft come here and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. You have the photo from the World Series parade, and you can kind of show that off. So it got me thinking, what specific things did you guys, besides the route or some other stuff, other specific lessons or whatever that you kind of learned from the World Series parade and applied them to the Chiefs one?
To the Chiefs parade, not the draft? Yeah, so there were a lot. So we needed a better transportation plan. We did not have a transportation plan in place for the Royals, so it was everyone for themselves, which was a huge challenge. So we worked really closely with KCATA to come up with a transportation plan that allowed people to park at all of, I think it was like 5 or 6 different locations, like Worlds of Fun, the zoo, so outside of the city, and then we bust people in. Yeah. So that was really critical. We needed to solve that because I think we were talking on the way in, there was just some chaos when people started dispersing, and obviously the police were overwhelmed with cars parked on the highway, and people just abandoned them and got out and walked. So by having that option for people to park and ride was really critical. The other thing that we needed to better account for was a reunification plan for lost minors. We didn't really have we expanded on it for the Chiefs parade. So we worked much more closely, again, with KCPD to identify predetermined locations where PD could take lost kids, so that parents, if they did get separated, they knew they could go to one of these 4 places. Those 4 were in communication with each other, so that we could quickly reunify folks if that happened. To that note, we also came up with a lot more suggested sort of safety measures for families to partake in. Like, take a picture of your kids before you guys head out to the parade in case you do get separated and you need to talk to PD. You can show them what the kid is wearing so they can quickly identify them. We didn't necessarily promote that to the public, as aggressively as we should have in the World Series parade. Bathrooms. I think you probably saw in the video that we had the largest porta potty drop in Kansas City history. Yeah. we had like a handful of porta potties for the Royals World Series parade that nobody really actually used because everybody just climbed on them and stood on top to watch. So, we were able to identify a very specific location for a massive number of porta potties in, I think like 2 or 3 different locations. So that was an improvement, I think, from a attendee perspective, to be able to know that those were there.
How did you get to them? In either one, if you were at the ceremony, I mean it was hard to get to any. You were trapped.
A little bit. I think for the Chiefs parade, Union Station was kind of flanked by a huge amount of porta potties, and then I think there were some in Washington Square Park or on the other side, maybe. So they were more accessible. They were more plentiful and they were more accessible. Now, again, whether or not people actually left their spot to go use them, I don't know. That's their prerogative, I suppose.
Yeah.
So it was sort of those scenarios, but then also just really being diligent about running, sort of emergency response scenarios and things like that. That, again, like the KCPD and the fire department were really critical in helping us with that. Obviously, we didn't expect a car to get on the route, which was crazy, but I mean, the Kansas City police could not have acted more quickly and smartly in shutting that down. And it's because of all of the due diligence and all the command centers that we had around that were in place before people even started gathering.
Well, and Gary, we didn't even hear it. I mean, we were on the media stage platform. Freezing with you.
Yeah. Well, that's probably because I screamed at the people to cut. It was, I guess, whoever our media partner, I think it was 41 also, yeah. They were starting to show it on the
You're like, no.
I said, I was like, cut the feed or I'm going to cut your feed. Like, because the last thing we needed was people crowded around Union Station to know that this was happening right there. Like, we wanted to just sort of mollify the situation.
I was say, I didn't even know about it until, it was over.
Well, we had the speakers, too, right behind us, and they were very loud.
Yeah, I only knew about it because I had an earpiece in, and so I was communicating with everybody.
But, I know it was, it was like you said, KCPD did a great job because, there's people lying in the streets, to get ready for the parade, and so they can't, some of the maneuvers they would typically use in that situation are out of the realm of possibility, and they shut it down real quick, and
because the perpetrator started at the start of the parade. So down at Berkeley Riverfront Park, they left that apartment complex. That's when they first broke through the barricade. Okay. So they were on the whole route for a little while while they assessed. But couldn't have. You never want anything like that to happen, but it couldn't have been shut down more quickly and effectively.
All I know is, Catherine, Gary and I and his wife just enjoyed it so much. Freezing with you, standing out there. It was
cold, man.
It was cold.
It was. Yeah. I thought, and I don't like cold. I don't like to be cold. I usually don't go to Chiefs games when it's cold.
Yeah.
But the parade was just something I was like, I can't miss this.
Yeah.
And I thought, it was a great event. I'm sure there's things that you guys learned that you're like, oh well, we'll tweak this or do this different.
Yeah.
Like as he would say, when we have it next year.
Yeah.
This is going to be even better.
Yep.
I was going to say a lot of the things that you brought up are a lot of items that people don't necessarily think about.
Right.
When they think about parade, they're like, oh, there's a route and they drive and we go and we leave.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of behind the scenes planning.
Oh yeah.
And that's why it's cool to hear about that stuff, because I don't think a lot of people will even think about it or even realize that it's going on. But I do know for a fact a lot of people that attended both, and they say that the change between both of them was tremendous.
It's good.
And so that's
good to hear.
Kudos to you guys. Because and everybody went off without a hitch, like I said. Just you guys were talking about the one little event where the guy goes crazy in his car, which I don't even know what that was even about. Like
he was out of his mind.
He wanted to be on Facebook Live.
No, he was out of his mind on something.
He was.
Oh, okay, cool.
He was.
Yeah,
just one. That's good.
Yeah,
he had a passenger in the car though.
Oh, that's not good.
Well, you think about it. The last time this city had something like it was '88, but we didn't have a parade for that. We had some celebrating going on, but '85 was the last parade that we saw in this city. So how do you remember how it went? You don't.
Well, and there's no documentation. There's not,
right.
it was certainly a different time. You couldn't refer to files or plans or anything like that. So, we definitely, listen, there's always room for improvement. I think that we felt really good about the baseline planning. The challenge is going to be like, how do we differentiate from what we did before? Because you definitely we don't want to do the same thing. So maybe it's not double-decker buses. Maybe it's something else, So maybe the aesthetic side of it might look a little bit different.
Let's next time finish over Boulevard where we can have plentiful flow.
Yeah, I mean routes are challenging to come up with, right? I mean we went through a ton of different routes. So I don't know. We'll see. I hope we do get to plan it again.
Well, you're going to have one before that because we got this, I think 60-game season with Major League Baseball and the Royals. So
that's right.
I predicted an Oreo cookie made by Coach Williams for the Bulldogs, which is a baker.
Yeah.
We're not going to let Oreo take this one, but we're going to do a red because the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl again, and blue in the center, and we're going to have the logos on it. And,
good.
Wouldn't that be a cool cookie?
Yeah, that'd be super cool.
That's 60. Yeah. That starts.
And dip it in Boulevard beer.
Yeah.
So the Royals
Boulevard beer.
And the Royals are in first place with 60 games to go. So it's definitely a possibility.
Yeah. Last time that was happening was when we won the World Series. Yeah. So this year is going to be really, really interesting too.
It will be.
No one in the stadium.
The parade was awesome. It was a great event. I really enjoyed being there. It was kind of my first big event I've covered as a member of the media. So that was really cool. But I thought everything ran smooth, and obviously having all the guys on stage there and them getting to talk. Some of them used a little colorful language, but that's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they just at the peak of their profession, they climbed the mountain and just won. So,
and let me say this about the Kansas City Sports Commission, and since Kathy Nelson's got there, 9-10 years ago?
Yeah, maybe 8, 9, yeah.
Yeah, and yourself and this whole group you got, it's not a big company. It's not a big organization. You depend on a lot of volunteer work and a lot of support help from the people involved. So, you guys have done wonderful. I think Kathy at the helm has just made our city, Kathy at the helm has made our city just glow. And,
for sure.
And of course, it helps when you have championship teams too.
Yes.
But keeping the Big 12 tournament, getting the regionals rounds. I don't think we'll ever have a Final Four here again, but it would be nice. I mean, they just want the domes.
Never know.
I mean,
you have to close the roof over at Arrowhead.
Yeah. I mean, that's the problem. Yeah. We don't
maybe
a women's Final Four, maybe.
Yeah, we don't necessarily have the large enough venue, indoor venue.
That's right.
For that, but let's talk a little bit about you guys do your annual awards show. Mm-hmm. This year was obviously different with COVID.
It was.
You guys kind of filmed some things, and that's on the YouTube channel.
It is. It's on our website, and also our YouTube channel. We normally host. It's about a 750-person banquet. Mm-hmm. It's obviously one of our largest fundraisers because at the end we're a privately funded nonprofit house. So I don't know if a lot of people know that, but we're reliant on private support in order for our organization to function. So. This is a big one for us, so it serves a couple purposes. Obviously, we honor 5 individuals in the community for their commitment and dedication to sort of sports in Kansas City, and again, it's also a fundraiser. So normally it's held at the Mulebach, and it's just a big fun event. Like you have a little cocktail reception before. I mean, it's your pretty standard fare, right? Mm-hmm. But we normally get some fun special guests. Our honorees tend to be pretty cool. Like we honored Patrick after his first year, and Patrick Mahomes after his first year. So the turnout is really, really strong, and we get good sponsorships.
Our buddy Chris Brownie, he got honored last year too.
Yeah. Chris Brown, he was at that one also. This year I'll kind of go through the list here, and Sportsman of the Year was Tyrann Mathieu. Obviously came over free agent with the Chiefs, and helped us on that Super Bowl run.